I'm Hanson. I'm one of the 3 co-founders of the Tyre Collective, where we're building a device to capture tire wear. Today, there are over 1 million tons of tire wear produced annually across Europe, and this is actually the 2nd largest microplastic pollutant and also a form of air PM pollution. So it's small enough for you to inhale, and it could also enter your bloodstream. So when we talk about vehicle pollution and zero emission, at the moment it's just focused on exhaust emissions, but there's a whole world of non-exhaust emissions out there, which is brake wear and tire wear. With the adoption of electric vehicles, while they reduce exhaust emissions significantly, they are heavier, and that's mostly due to the battery. They also have a higher torque, so they generate a lot more tire wear. To understand the problem, we tracked different buses in London, and we found that the bus X26, which is the longest bus route in London, produces about a box about the size of a grapefruit of tire wear each day, and these particles are dispersed all across London. So every time you drive, you accelerate, you brake, or you turn a corner, little particles come off the tires from friction with the road, and that's what we're capturing. So we started this project as our 2nd year master's project here at Imperial, and we were looking at microplastics in large, and you read a lot about microbeads and microfibers, but tires kept on coming up in our research, and we found that there were no solutions around this topic, and we saw that as potential to create an impact. When we started the project, we had suspected that tires themselves are charged from friction with the road. So our first prototype was literally a tire, and we took some sandpaper to it, and we took that, and then we bought some yellow balloons, and we were in our studio on a piece of paper, shaving off the tires, and then Hugo had this like woolly sweater on because it was winter, and he was rubbing this balloon against our sweater, and we literally saw these particles jump up and down from the paper onto the balloon and kind of falling back down again. That made us realize that we could use electrostatics to attract and effectively capture tire wear. On a vehicle, we also take advantage of the airflow behind the wheel to entrain as much particles as possible into our device to attract them. So what we're building is a box that sits behind the wheel, and as you're driving, the particles are generated and it flows through our device, and a series of electrostatic plates attracts and captures the particles coming off. So we're still in the R&D stage, and we're currently running trials here in London. So within the year, we started from a proof of concept on an initial bike rig and to our first on-vehicle test last year. And since then, we've iterated on the device, and we're running a pilot in London now. Being on the greenhouse allowed us to kind of meet different startups that are at different stages, learn from their experiences. It was also one of the first investments we got after we graduated to keep progressing and developing our device. I think for us, something that we found challenging was, in the beginning at least, is to progress from what was a student project into a business, and really growing and kind of progressing our roles and thinking in a different mindset, and really kind of owning those new leadership roles that we have defined for ourselves, and also to build our network of support, people that we can go to for advice. That has been the most challenging, but also the most worthwhile. So my top tip would be to engage with others who have drastically different skill sets than you, and really form a multidisciplinary team to tackle the problem that you're trying to solve. So last August, we ran our first ever on-vehicle test. We drove about 3,000 kilometers collecting samples, and that was one of the first times we ever captured on-road samples of tire wear. We wiped down the plates and saw that these particles are entrapped into this cloth that we use, and those are some of the first on-road samples of tire wear anyone has ever captured. Currently, we're building a retrofit device to attach onto delivery vans specifically. Long term, we aim to move onto buses and heavy goods vehicles, which produce a lot more tire wear based on the weight of the vehicle. Our vision is to integrate our device into all new electric vehicles, kind of like the catalytic converter, but for tire wear. It has opened a lot of doors for us since we started the Tyre Collective, and also I think helped us grow as individuals and really grow our existing skill sets and also learn new ones. It's been a really rewarding journey. I mean, when we started the project, it was never in our plan to make it into a startup, but since we made that decision, it's been a crazy journey, but a really fun journey too.